so many things to get to, but I want to start tonight with a story that will lift our spirits. Our spirits are starting to get a little droopy, so what we do here in LA is we go to a surgeon and we give them a lift. But there's a new Guinness World Record from Japan where a pair of sisters who at the age of 107 have been crowned the world's oldest living identical twins. There they are, Umino and Kome, a.k.a. Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. That's Kome. That's the face of a woman who's pitched she's missing Wheel of Fortune to take this picture. The previous record holders were also from Japan. One of them died in 2000. The other one died in 2001 at age 108. You know what they died of? It's weird. They both died of skateboarding accidents. Half pipe finally got them, you know? But congratulations to Umino and Kome. And while we're congratulating our elders on keeping it together, the oldest president in U.S. history was in New York today addressing the United Nations. Joe Biden is older than the UN itself. That's not a joke. It's true. He's like, I remember when this building was a saltwater taffy shack. And all his leader friends from other countries were there. The fella from down under, big guy, too tall, Padre, Bucko, Slick. They were all present and accounted for. This is Biden's first speech to the General Assembly since taking office. He told the Assembly that U.S. military power should not be the answer to every problem. For that, we have alcohol and weed. Biden covered a lot of ground in his remarks. COVID, Afghanistan, climate change. He pushed for unity and weighed in on one of the great threats facing our world.
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys. He was waiting for three guys in straight razors. In those days, you used to remember the straight razor, you'd bang them on the curb, get them rusty, put them in a rain barrel, get them rusty. There's a guy named Bill Wright, Mouse. He used to come down here in the basement where mechanics, where all the pull there is. And he cut off a 6-foot length of chain. He folded up, he said, you walk out with that chain. And you walk to the car and say, you may cut me, man, but I'm gonna wrap this chain around your head.
All right, now who wants to negotiate a trade deal? In order to be allowed on the General Assembly floor, all leaders had to either be vaccinated or test negative for COVID, but they didn't have to show proof. They did it on the honor system. And if you can't trust China and Russia, really, who can you trust? But Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro is famously anti-vaccine. Here he is arriving in New York. But this President Bolsonaro believes the vaccine turns people into crocodiles. And bearded ladies, too. He's crocodiles. And this AstraZeneca really has a lot of range, I have to say. Some call him the Brazilian Trump, which is also Brazilian Trump, also a euphemism for when they wax off your orange hair downstairs. It was a tough day. It was a tough day for Fox News, really. They didn't get anything good to make fun of Biden for. This is from yesterday. This is on the So Brazen It's Hard to Believe These Words Were Spoken list. Trump's former economic advisor, a party clown named Larry Kudlow. I'm not sure if this is technically considered to be gaslighting or if maybe there's just a gas leak at his house.
With an extremely divisive Biden, I will tell you, folks, I kind of yearn for the calm, peaceful, orderly, prosperous, America first, around the globe days of Donald Trump. Just saying.
Right. Who can forget those peaceful, prosperous, orderly, and calm days? Genghis Khan, we used to call him. That's how calm it was when Donald Trump was... I think the memory is the first to go. We are learning details about the calm, peaceful, orderly, prosperous days of Donald Trump in a new book by Bob Woodward and Robert Costa of the Washington Post. The book's called Peril. It came out today. It lays out what went down at the White House in the aftermath of the insurrection, January 6th. There were some bombshell allegations, including a memo that was outlined by one of Trump's lawyers, John Eastman. Now, that's John Eastman with the hat on. It takes a lot to make Rudy Giuliani look like the sane lawyer, but John was able to do that. So the book says this guy Eastman drew up a 6-step plan explaining how Mike Pence should overturn the results of the election. And the steps went like this. Step 1, Vice President Pence, presiding over the joint session, opens and begins counting the ballots, starting with Alabama. Step 2, when he gets to Arizona, he pretends to have a coughing fit and reaches for a glass of water. Step 3, while reaching for the glass, Pence knocks the ballots onto the floor, saying the words whoopsie daisy loudly so everyone can hear. Step 4, as Pence is picking up the ballots, he shouts, "Hey, what's that over there?" Then kicks the ballots from 7 key battleground states under the podium. Step 5, he asks everyone to check under their chairs for the ballots, and while they're distracted looking under their chairs, he swallows, he eats all the ballots. Georgia, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, all in his stomach now. At this point, no one can find the ballots, so Pence explains he has no choice but to declare Trump the winner. And then step 6, bangs the gavel, hops aboard Space Force One, and is never seen again. And for some reason, he refused to go along with this plan. The real memo suggested that Pence used the element of surprise. They wanted him to just show up and, without warning, overturn the results of the election, at which, I don't know, without asking permission, that seems impossible for Mike Pence. I mean, look, Mike Pence is a guy who asks if it's okay to go to the bathroom when he's alone, okay? He doesn't do things like that. This guy, Eastman, came up with a hell of an opinion, too. He said, the fact is that the Constitution assigns this power to the vice president as the ultimate arbiter. Right? He's basically arguing that the third base umpire can declare himself the winner of the World Series. Meanwhile, does anyone know what Melania is up to? I feel like any day now we're going to find out she's engaged to a Jonas brother or something. The former CEO of Amazon and future resident of Mars, Jeff Bezos, made a big announcement. He's donating $1 billion to protect 30% of Earth's land and sea, which sounds like a lot until you realize he's worth $200 billion. Why not spend another $3 billion to protect 100% of the Earth's land and sea? You'd still have like $196 billion. Of course, what he doesn't mention is he's protecting the Earth from himself. Is it possible to destroy the planet and save it at the same time? Jeff Bezos is the only guy who's so rich, when you hear he donated $1 billion to charity, you're like, what a cheap bastard. This wasn't cheap either. Here in LA, the Clippers have a new stadium. It's a new stadium. It cost $1.8 billion. It's in Inglewood. They had a party. They had a band, a great band, Fits in the Tantrums was there to celebrate. And Kawhi Leonard, in particular, really seemed to be digging the music. It's cool. Kawhi, Kawhi, am I here? Clippers fever, catch it. You know, speaking of fever, in vaccine news, Johnson & Johnson says now that getting a second shot, remember it was a one-shot deal to Johnson & Johnson, but if you get the second shot, they say it increases the effectiveness of their vaccine to 94%, which is good news for Johnson. Until this point, Johnson & Johnson was basically like the Mr. Pibb of vaccines. It was like, all right, I guess. You know, a year ago, we didn't have vaccines or a plan to get them out there once we did. And so to remind us of how far we've come, every week we look back at what was in the news exactly 1 year ago. And it's time now for another edition of This Week in COVID History.
This Week in COVID History. It's late September 2020. School is back. And how's the president doing?
To fight the China virus, we did an A-plus job. We got an A-plus.
We take an A-plus.
We get an A-plus.
He's the magna cum laude mouth. Meanwhile, hundreds gather to remember Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, where POTUS Maximus is greeted by an adoring crowd.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg dictated her dying wish. My most fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed.
A simple wish, one that surely will be honored. For here lies a woman whose legacy cannot...
Let's make a T-shirt, fill the seat, okay? And that's what we're going to do. We're going to fill the seat. A woman would be in first place, yes.
Auga, what a bird. But wait a tick. In 2016, Mitch McConnell blocked Obama's nominee because it was an election year. What say you this election year, Senator?
Mr. President. The Majority Leader.
Always the charmer. President Trump can't lose. Literally.
We're not going to lose this except if they cheat. That's the way I look at it.
Will you commit to making sure that there is a peaceful transferal of power after the election?
Well, we're going to have to see what happens.
Ooh, a cliffhanger. Will the President of the United States let democracy run its course? We'll find out on the next depressing episode of This Week in COVID History.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Kimmel. I hope you enjoyed that video. Hit subscribe and all your dreams will come true, assuming your dreams are to watch more YouTube videos.